and welcome to The Good, the Bad and the Worst, a podcast where we watch movie trilogies and decide which film is a whiny film nerd with a letterboxd account instead of a personality. I'm your host Griner, and joining me today...
Yeah, I am that whiny nerd with a letterboxd account. But I'm excited because we're bringing back the legacy characters. We're making it matter. With the original Jamie Lee's here.
And I'm the original Jamie Lee, Luke Morgan. And I got stabbed a billion times, got dumped by my famous wife, and crawled into a bottle. I think it's safe to say I'm on the suspect list.
Of course, we're catching up on Scream. We did Scream 1 through 4 previously. And since then, they've come out thick and fast with 2 new Scream films, Scream 5 and 6. We're just going to cover them off tonight. Boys, what's the future of Scream? Can these movies go on forever as they are? Do we eventually get a humanoid Scream mask person whose face is all disfigured and is inbred or something, and as the villain? Or because I would love to see this series just get really weird with it. I don't think it's gonna happen.
I'll go first before the horror expert, but
yeah, can't tell me why I'm an idiot. But
I had the opposite thought when watching this movie. I just had this thing where I was like obviously I feel like this has had a refresh. I feel like it's got legs underneath it again after it had sort of died down quite a bit. But I really do like and give credit to this series that they haven't changed the look. That they can have this thing where it's like, here's the MCU of Scream costumes, and it's like the same costume 9 times. And to see that the original mask in this one was all weathered and like cracked, I think that added to it. I think that looked really cool. And it made me, when I just Googled all the Halloween masks over the years and the goofy looking ones that they got over a couple of those spin-offs, it made me be like, no, this is iconic for a reason. Like, this mask is iconic. This look is iconic. I'm glad that they don't really change it. Obviously, you can make slight adjustments like they did with the weathered mask in this, but
I want this shotgun.
Yeah, exactly. Get a little weird with it like that, but maybe not. Just a person with a really long mouth.
Just weird. Yeah, I was reminded a bit of the Halloween one where the Halloween remake in 2018 came back and had the original mask and it was all sort of burned and same deal as weathered out. And I was like, it adds an element to it. No, I think as long as horror exists as a genre and exists as like a profitable genre, there is a Scream movie for every year. Like, I think about other franchises. If we can if we can turn Fast and Furious into like flying cars, saving people as they fall out of planes sort of things, like we can do a meta horror thing. Like, I think if any of those franchises that we sort of got now have legs, this one doesn't. Horror has like that. Horror was kind of the granddaddy of this. Like, there are 12 Friday the 13th films. Like, there are about 8 or 9 Halloweens, not including remakes. Like, horror has a long run of just, you can do the same formula over and over again. You change the window dressing, and it works. Like,
but
people
know when to walk away and come back. Know when to leave the room for a bit and then come back.
Yes, yeah, and that's kind of what this did. Like, it stopped, came back, stopped, came back, and it's been reignited, I think, now where, 5 talks a lot about elevated horror, and it's like, well, we don't need, and it's kind of that awareness of, wait, this is a slasher, this isn't that, and it's exploring that point. And then 6 is all about, this is now a franchise. This isn't just a trilogy or a quadrilogy anymore. This is something bigger. Like, I think, as long as horror, because horror as a medium exists, it reflects the concerns at the time. It reflects things that are going on. And so as long as that's...
Scream especially is just a commentary on the state of horror movies. So.
Well, exactly right. So as long as horror just exists and is naturally doing that, Scream can sort of always has a space to like then reflect the reflection. Yeah. Whether or not, like, it might get weird, like you say, horror also has that history of some of the Friday 13th and Nightmare on Elm Streets get bizarre and they go down weird paths. Like Jason went to space in one of those movies. Like, so it could get wacky, but I think there'll always be a room for it. Yeah.
Well, I wonder if these movies won't get wacky though. Like, they could have made Scream 5 an elevated horror, but chose not to. Scream 6 doesn't, like, while it talks a lot about being a franchise and it definitely pulls those franchise elements in, has the callbacks to the history, it's still a Scream movie at its heart. It's still a slasher.
It is. And I wonder, I lost my train of thought. Continue on.
It's
If
all
I
right.
remember it, I'll jump back in.
All right, well, let's kick it off with some stats.
Stats.
We got Scream 5 came out in 2022. Is it Scream 5 or is it just Scream 2022?
It's officially just Scream, but call it Scream. Call it Scream 5. It's
it's bad. They should have called it Scream 5. Scream 5 had a budget of 24 million, made 137 million. Scream 6, budget of 35 million, has so far made 116 million, been out for 2 weekends.
That's big.
It's a pretty big turnaround. Horror movies are still one of the more profitable film genres, right? Like you can make a small horror film and make money on it, unlike a small action film or
last year was
romantic comedy. Like
Shazam.
Super.
I mean, like my favorite talking point of last year was Barbarian being this tiny budget thing. You know, like Skinamarink made on like $20,000 has made like over $1 million. Terrifier 2, similar deal. Like it's kind of like the narrative of the industry is like these horror films just make money everywhere. It's a big leap though. Like for this movie come out within 2 weeks has made almost as much as its predecessor. That's like I don't know. That's
done well.
I mean, the last one. Not like the last one was in the pandemic times, but it was sort of it was only a year ago, wasn't it? So
yeah.
I feel like it was pushed though because of the pandemic times, right?
I think it was
pushed because there's no way they've turned around.
They've turned them around very quickly.
You can, yeah. I mean, you can. That's kind of the beauty of it as well. Like, it's not too difficult to make these, but it probably would have been because Jenna Ortega is very busy, so I don't know if she would have time to make everything she's made and this.
Yeah, it's interesting to think that she would have been cast in Scream 5 as basically a nobody, and then with Wednesday and all her other stuff, like she's super popular now.
She has exploded. She's a really cool final girl as like sort of the final girl for the TikTok generation, because I think a lot of the reason why she's blown up is because of that. Like she's relevant to them. She gets shared a lot. Like Wednesday is a viral sensation because of that. So she's kind of like she's even like a younger movie star than Zendaya. She's but she really is kind of like she's like that final girl of the generation even further down, which is pretty fascinating because she's really good in the role. Like she's very she's got that real like sort of childlike innocence. You know what I mean? She's like 4 foot tall or something. She's very tiny. But she's really good in this.
Yeah. To put it into perspective, Scream 4 had a budget of 40 million and it made only 97 million. So I mean, inflation and things, maybe it's not as profitable, but it seems like it was definitely on a downhill trend, and these requels have done really well to reboot the franchise.
Yeah, interesting. Not bad. Good numbers.
Critical reception, 60 on Metacritic and then 61. So both very, very similar on Metacritic.
I feel like the general consensus outside of that, though, has been so much more positive for this.
Then
like, the audience, from the audience perspective, Scream 6 was like 76 and Scream 5 was like 59. Like there was definitely a much bigger gap there for the audience reception. Yeah. Because I saw a few outlets that were like giving these 9s and 10s, like really praising this movie, and were really talking about how this is the reboot we need. Yeah.
So I was surprised to see the Metascore was like equal.
Not to go back to another score, but Rotten Tomatoes has Scream 5 as 76 and then Scream 6 as 77. So that's the same sort of story.
It's fun parody,
Interesting. I had the same thought that I thought the general consensus was that 6 was better, critically, at least.
Yeah.
After Scream 5, I was ready to come in here and say, I hate Scream movies. But anyway.
He was not keen to go to Scream 6.
Should we get into it?
Can I ask what your reception was to, what the viewing experience was like? I was like this.
I'm pretty sure a Ghostface killed someone down like in the 3rd row. But the whole crowd were going nuts for it.
Yeah,
and I don't know if it was
not
fake
again.
or not.
Not again. They've got to stop doing this.
Jada Pinkett Smith was there. That's all I know. But
Will Smith too. He slaps some people.
It was all right. It was all right. I don't think it was anything crazy or so.
We had to travel again to a bigger town to see this movie because it's not coming to our tiny town until
local
the end of the
don't
month.
Support horror films.
Or our podcast. They don't get the movies in that we want to watch. It's terrible. But so it's a really nice cinema, and this one was a good experience, much better than Creed because we had a really shitty audience for that movie. But this movie was, they were pretty quiet, they were pretty good, but there wasn't really much atmosphere there, I wouldn't say.
People weren't screaming at kills or like it's even though film isn't really something like that for jump scares, I find personally, but it seems like everyone enjoyed it, and it was a decent sized audience from memory, but
okay. Because mine was a not a huge screen. Like it was a VMAX. It was a big cinema, and I was decently full. But I was expecting it to be kind of stilted, but it ended up like people were cheering towards. In the final showdown, it was like there was energy in there. People were like clapping and really getting into it, and, like screaming at parts. It was like, oh, and like this isn't a movie these movies aren't overly atmospheric in terms of you're not sort of on the edge of your seat, like waiting for the jump scare. It's kind of that horror that it's startling, but it's not so much like generally terrifying. And so, at least for me, I didn't have that issue of like, everyone shut up, you're ruining the mood. It was like, no, this movie's kind of like, you're kind of cheering them on, and I don't know. Do you get like?
I feel like these movies are way more fun than horror. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a weird film where I don't know what's like. When I remember watching the original Scream, I remember like even the opening scene being like, "Oh, this is pretty messed up," and there is like horror to that. But especially the last couple, I feel like it's way more just like this pop culture sort of film that's like everyone enjoys, and it's like I feel like someone could really dislike horror films and enjoy a Scream film.
Still enjoy this,
and this is like could be their gateway drug to horror sort of thing.
I guess that's part of the horror. Like it's the horror that's more like the violence is upsetting, and it's like, oh, people are getting killed, and it makes sense in a film it's aware that it's a horror film. It makes sense that you're enjoying that more than you are scared by it, because it's constantly telling you, hey, here's the scary part. And so it's hard to be surprised and shocked in this movie, because it's like it literally warns you when stuff's going to happen, or it telegraphs everything's going to happen. So it is more fun than anything else.
It's calling out its formula the whole way through. You're just kind of along for the ride, and you're still trying to figure it out as you go, obviously, just like the characters are, but it's not.
Yeah. Is that why you think it is, Conan? Like, do you think, because we're not watching like Halloween and being like, oh, who is it? Who's the killer? Like, is it because it's this whodunit to it, where it sort of makes it this fun mystery that you're trying to solve throughout the film as well, and being like, oh, what twists are they going to do here or anything? But
like, yeah, talking about these two specifically, that was the big takeaway I had from watching number 6. So I think I've mentioned, I don't usually I don't try to solve mysteries in movies. I don't try to solve mysteries. I don't try to guess killers. I don't try to solve the case. As in bad for doing it, or bad because you always get it right?
I'm literally the entire time in my head speculating pathways and like I'm like that with professional wrestling, man. I'm watching a match and being like, oh, this person's going to come out with a steel chair. So like anytime I watch these films, I don't know if it's some weird thing where I'm like, I am smarter than these people. I'm like, it's going to be that person and this person, because we won't expect it to be that person. And then I usually don't get it.
Yeah, like I know, I for whatever reason I switch that part of my brain off, and so I'll just go through. I'll be like, I had no idea anything was what was coming, because I wasn't thinking about it. In number 6, I was a lot more kind of aware of it, and I was like, and I called it about halfway through, or about 2/3 of it, and I was like, oh yeah, I think that is part of the appeal now, is like how are they going to rehash things? How are they going? Because these ones are obviously they're prequels, so they're ripping not only on all horror but on their form, like on 2 and 1, and So I think with that, part of it is like, how will they subvert that? How will they channel that? How will they still surprise me? Like with these entries, there is a lot more of that like puzzle box nature to it, I think, which I think is part of the fun, definitely. Like I think audiences do come into it being like trying to figure that out, because again, the characters are all like, who's coming back for us? How's that connect? Like, so you're along with the ride for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's get in.
I'll just last thing I'll say. Well, I'll talk about more when we go into the actual films. But I feel like my whole guessing thing is because I'm waiting for someone to come back, and I keep assuming it's them, and then it's never them.
Yeah.
So
All right, Scream 5, 25 years after a streak of brutal murders shocked the quiet town of Woodsboro, California, a new killer dons the ghost face mask and begins targeting a group of teenagers to resurrect secrets from the town's deadly past.
Yeah, he does.
Spoopy.
yeah, they do.
Oh,
Oh, whoops.
They say it from the start that there's going to be two killers, right? Like it's.
I know.
it's
And I keep
expecting there
them
not to be.
Yes, yeah. The whole time I was like, oh, they're going to do one this time, but
They've
I
done
was
one.
I was played.
Maybe
I
they'll
tried
do
to-
three.
You know, I hope they do in the
Just
one.
go all out.
Just
They
everyone's the
core
killer.
4. Maybe the next one's the core 4.
Everybody's the killer.
Except the main character.
This movie, I like this movie. Scream 5 is good.
I did not enjoy this movie. I don't know if it was just the mood I was in. I wasn't focused on the movie. Maybe these are movies I should go see in the cinema because I think I enjoyed. Well, I definitely enjoyed 6 more. But yeah, I don't know. Other than Dewey's death, like none of it felt very brutal or exciting. I don't know. It just didn't click with me.
I can't remember. Did you like? You're a fan of the first one, right?
Not particularly. Like these aren't my
No.
favorite movies ever. I'll 100% admit that. I'm not a big into horror movies at all. So
Yeah.
while I understand the meta narrative they're going for, I don't appreciate it that much.
I guess
yeah.
I guess if you're not a big fan of, because the Scream 5 is really like it's riffing on all the energy of the first one.
Yeah.
You know, like the killer reveals are essentially the same. Like it's very much like this is the same beat. So if you didn't like the first one that much, it's kind of hard to like. It'll be hard to be like, oh yeah, this is gonna be great.
This is the Force Awakens of the Scream series. Like it's very much like we're doing
Big
A New
claims.
Hope.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't have any nostalgia for the first film in particular. I think I only really watched it for this podcast, like not that long ago.
Yeah.
So like, I can totally I totally get that. Like, I think Force Awakens is kind of a crap movie if you don't have any nostalgia for the original trilogy.
That's just blasphemy. But
Yeah.
like
I see your point.
it's very much like, you know, we even end up in the same house, the original, them in the same kitchen, reenacting the same scenes. Like everyone is a relative of like the original characters or is the original characters. Yeah, I don't know. I really liked it. This one, I felt like it not the 4 was necessarily bad. I quite enjoyed 4 even.
Yeah, I
for
like
its-
4.
You know, I did enjoy 4, but like this felt really good to come back after a while, to come back to this when this came out last year and be like, okay, no, cool, Scream's back. Like I'm in the mood for this. I like some of the changes that they made with it. And, you know, they did kill off some important characters that had always been there, like Captain Doofy. But like it's, you know, I enjoy it. There's so many shout outs in this to like just like Wes, like, you know, Carpenter. There's just so much horror, like trivia, like, and character names and stuff like that. It's
It's dripping in it. Yeah.
it's
You're
kind of
right.
a dream.
It kind of was like it's my bloody dream. It is kind of the perfect. It's the reason why the Halloween remake worked as well. I think we talked about it at length. Is like it is like I say, coming back to it after a period of time. You're getting refreshed on the franchise, and so you're being sort of reminded of all the things that you liked in the first place. Like it's all the elements of the first film that worked, but it's also updated for a modern audience. So it's really got that like it's ripping but advancing. It's why requels work, because it's like it's both familiar and also changing it. It's not a complete remake. It's not a complete sequel. Like it's a really nice spot to come back into and go, yeah, there's still life in this franchise if you sort of jerry rig it like that. I think it works really, and in a meta narrative, like it works so well. And I think it's kind of what the guys who made this, the 2 directors, they're part of like a troupe, I guess you call it, called Radio Silence, which have made a bunch of horror things. And kind of they're kind of injecting that interesting life into it that makes it feel a bit more updated. Like they're horror makers of the 21st century. You know, Wes Craven is like an OG. He is one of, if not the greatest horror director ever, but he's from a different time. So having Radio Silence make it like it has updated sensibilities. It feels a little bit more like it just resonates with people a bit more. I wonder if that's why Scream 4 didn't do so well because it felt a little bit outdated.
First Scream without Wes Craven, obviously, since he'd passed, and I don't know. I think they honor him pretty well, like with the shout outs to the original and everything like that. And I don't know. I really, really enjoy like Wes's death and like everything in that house. Like it's broad daylight. He's in the house. He goes, has the shower. It's like that scene has tension. I feel like more than a lot of the Scream films do. Like, oh, Kevin, like, oh my god, what's going to happen? Or is this going to happen? Or is this person going to accidentally stab this person? It was like a really, really good scene. I felt like for tension and everything like that. But
yeah, I'm interested, Grant. You said there's not that much. None of the kills are that interesting because this is the one that the kills are a lot more. I think like are intense. Like Wes's death, the knife just kind of goes slowly through his neck, and you see it pop out the other side. There's a lot more of that. There's a lot more sort of lingering on
just the body horror almost of uncomfortableness. Like
and like you see exactly what the damage it's doing, and you go, oh, this is like it's more uncomfortable than the other ones. Are just like stab, 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 or a car or something like.
Yeah, I don't know. Like you're right, they're a lot slower, and you're just seeing them slowly slide this knife in, and like there is something appealing to that, I guess. I just don't know what it is. These movies, I think in particular, I just don't like them that much. I don't care that much for the stabbing killer who just stab, 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 and moves on. Like there's generally nothing that exciting about it. I don't know.
So what's more terrifying than that, though?
What's more terrifying than anything with some tension? Like, wow, let some
tension
build up. I don't think there's that much tension in these movies.
Okay.
No, and I get what you're saying on that. So, do you much rather like Halloween, say the new Halloween trilogy?
I enjoyed it more.
You much more enjoyed that than Scream. Okay, true.
I liked Barbarian. I like Get Out. Like I don't know. That was my favorite scary movie when we did that last time, right? But
do you use the term elevated horror to describe the horror you like?
I guess so.
Yeah, you would.
I guess so. You would. I'm pretentious that way.
Yeah.
You should get a Letterboxd account.
Yeah. So what a year.
I should.
You would thrive on there. What about did you like the opening scene with Jenna Ortega?
Yeah, the conversation. Like I didn't mind that. Like it was pretty good. Like that was one of the notes I wrote down that, this do you like scary movies turns into an extended phone call about elevated horror. Like that's kind of fun. And that's, obviously that's very meta and very of today.
I think it's one of the better like Scream openings in recent memory, at least. Like, and I don't even just aesthetically, I really like. There's like it's an ominous looking house, like in the dark at night, and it's like you've got because obviously I feel like this was the first movie where people were like, how's he going to call people? Like it's like that phone ringing is going to be different because now we're all on our iPhones, and everything like that. And there's obviously texting involved in this, which is just to be like, hey, we're up to date and all that sort of stuff. But people still answer their phones. I feel like most anxious teenagers these days just wouldn't answer their phones. Like if it was, I guess they show it's a known caller and it's their friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was unknown, no, answering that.
Yeah, no. I had 3 of those today that I didn't answer. So
yeah.
Yeah, I think it does a good job of like updating, like you say, and it has the security thing where it's like you're doing it on your smartphone, and how that's sort of being undone by its own nature.
Yeah,
like that's a nice element to it, and then it's subverted, of course, because she doesn't die; she gets stabbed, but this is the first one where you have an opening scene where she doesn't die. Yeah. What about? Well, what do we think of all the new cast though? You've obviously got what would go on to be the core 4. So you got the twins. You've got Jenna and her sister. You've got Jack Quaid, from The Boys fame.
Yeah,
I like Jack Quaid. Like I think he's pretty good here. I like him in The Boys. Obviously, I think he's great in that. He's fun. I think Jenna Ortega's great. Like she's really compelling to watch. I enjoy the twins. I really like Jasmine Savoy Brown. Like she's great. She's great in Yellow Jackets. I don't know. I'm a big fan of Yellow Jackets, so
yeah.
Enjoy her and her brother.
Yeah, I like this crew, and like especially when you go into 6, like the core 4, I do like that crew, and
Yeah.
spoilers, but I'm glad like the core 4 is still intact. Like I was like, okay, cool. No, I like their banter, and I like
Yeah.
their.
Mm,
No,
I
come on,
could
Tony, you
I
gotta
could
give them
honestly
the
take or leave like Melissa Barrera, Sam Carpenter.
yeah.
She's the
That's
one
the
I like
only
the least of the core 4 for
weak
sure.
yeah,
link, and she's the lead, so it's a bit
Yeah.
odd, but
yeah. I think it's funny because in Scream 5, she is the lead. Like she is kind of the final girl. She is the scream queen of it. And then it's interesting. I don't know if I'm reading into it. I feel like all sort of everyone's understanding is like no, Jenna Ortega is where it should go with. Like I think
Yeah.
she is just a better actress.
Yeah.
And I had the same thought watching this again. I was like, yeah, Melissa Barrera is like she's fine. She's just not particularly interesting in these. She's very kind
No.
of I don't know if it's just she's one note or what, but she's just not overly compelling.
She feels very one note in Scream 5, I think, and the direction they're taking with 6, I think, is kind of interesting, especially if they make her to be the one of the killers in Scream. You know, in the next Scream, like I'm kind of there for that.
The
But
final girl.
yeah, I'm kind of there for that. Like I think that could be interesting. But yeah, she's kind of one note in both movies.
Yeah, but yeah, it's good having the two groups. You obviously got the original trio with Dewey, Gale, and Sydney.
Yeah.
And then you have these younger ones there. Yeah, so personally, I don't care actually for either of the twins. Watching it again, I was I don't because so Mindy is the Randy, like she's the film one who just spews the exposition.
And they're Randy's their uncle, isn't it? That's
Yes.
right. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
And Mason is kind of like, and I don't know, he's kind of a new Inception. He's the literal Chad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. Something about him, like Mindy, I just comes off as very like Randy's really kind of he's dorky. Like he's the useful offsider, but he kind of no one likes him and he knows that.
Yeah.
Whereas I don't know, she's comes off as obnoxious in this. I don't think it's the actress. Like I think she's really good as well. I just don't like the character.
There's some good comedy on her part. I feel like if it's just in delivery or whatever, especially in 6, I know even her getting attacked. Like, sorry to jump ahead, but like some of her, it's just like, oh fuck, I got it wrong again.
Yeah, a couple
like
of those moments. Like, yeah, I agree. Those parts are good.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I'm not as in love with this group as I was in with the originals.
I think like Griner nailed it though. Like I think Sam does lack that sort of charisma, and I guess they have more than her. So in the core 4, they're in the better half of it. But
I like the twins better in Scream 6 than Scream 5.
Yeah,
I don't know what changes there, but I enjoy it.
Same.
Dewey dies. One of the OGs. They let him go, as requels tend to do. Did that hit for you guys? Like, was there an impact there, or
it was for me?
Does anybody care about Dewey?
Yes, everyone cares about it. Dewey's an interesting character, and there's something here that I've been mulling over watching just after seeing Scream 6, because there's that real franchise DNA to it, and we'll talk at length, but I'll mention it now in case I forget. The fact that no one really dies in Scream 6 is a real sin, is a real problem that I have. And Dewey kind of, even like his character, like the kind of the hero, but he's really dumb. Like that's kind of a holdover from a different time. Those characters don't exist because every character now, as you see in franchises, is pretty witty, is pretty cool, is pretty savvy.
Is jacked to the
is jacked, and is apparently invincible despite taking 307 stab wounds.
And they've obviously done that to make him more relatable to us, sort of thing. But
I get it. Yeah, I've survived that. Yeah, I know. I'm with you.
Yeah,
but I think Dewey's got that real like he is the most kind of like not unsung hero. Like he's a pretty crappy cop. The only reason he's good at this is because he's literally been stabbed and survived all these times. Like he's fallen into it by circumstance.
Yeah,
his life's a mess, but he's not like hard drinking, hard like this thing. He's a wiener. Like that part when he's like, well, maybe you're the killer because that hurt. Like he's really soft. And like
I like this Dewey. Like in Scream 5, like I really like that Dewey. That he's just he's just beat up and old.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
like he's been through a lot of shit.
But he's not like cynical old. He's still kind of like lovable and just he's a bit doofy.
He's David Arquette.
Yeah, like there is a real charm to it where he's not just like he's not wise and he's not stoic. He's like he's still the same character, and like, there's a real holdover magic to that. And so then seeing him die is actually like, it both works because it's like, yeah, you need to kill characters. Like killing characters keeps these things fresh and interesting.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, and then there is like a certain magic to it of like, I think he's a real sort of like moral core of the whole franchise. Because he's just kind of like overwhelming goodness in the face of it all.
Yeah.
And so to have him finally die, this is like, okay, it hits a little bit of like, okay, what does the future now look? Because like, who else is there left in the group besides really handsome guy? If he comes back in Scream 7, who's just like an all-round just nice person, like.
Yeah.
It is really handsome guy. He is the what is he? He's like the moral core without, I don't know. He seems like he'll be that guy.
Yeah,
tough exterior, but the soft gooey center.
Yeah.
Should Sydney have died?
Like, this is where,
I don't know if they knew she wasn't going to come back again or.
No, they didn't. So this is where it gets super ultra meta, because it's like, what do they do now? Because the real world is actually affecting this. Like,
and she's just like, no, I'm holidaying. I'm away. I'm not coming back for this.
I'm staying safe.
Yeah.
Well, no, because I think there were plans. I think there would have been plans to like, kill one, then maybe kill another, and then either kill everyone but Sydney, or eventually kill her off in like Scream 8 or 9 and have it as a big sort of payoff.
When she's just had enough and she is Ghostface and she gets the Groot.
And this is the magic of this franchise, is you can literally just do these things, and even if it's kind of silly, it's like, that's cool. There's something charming to that. Like in one of them, turns out Sydney snaps after nine killing massacres. It's like, yeah, that's probably enough to do.
Scream 8 is what finally pushed me. All that other stuff. I can all my friends, but
yeah,
not Sam.
Yeah, I mean, the more cardinal sin is not killing Gale in Scream 6, but
I want to talk about that. But
we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Do you guys like the stab angle that they're pushing here, where like they're trying to fix the franchise?
Yeah. Kind like it's very meta. It's very
it does try to be very meta. It just seems I don't know.
But
seems
it's not
a stretch
like it's
for that to result in
established.
killings.
I don't know. People are nuts, man. When it comes to movies, people are doing weird shit all the time. I don't know. Okay.
I see your point. Like the whole, we love this franchise so much, we have to make the next stab. Like we have to kill people for the inspiration of the next movie. It is a little bit of a reach, but I guess the whole conceit of the film is like, it's kind of a parody of that old, your mum being like, horror movies will turn you into killers, and old politicians being like, video games make you murder people. Like, I think there's a very clear tongue-in-cheek satire of horror culture being celebrated is going to turn everyone into murderers. It's like, we've got to celebrate that in and of itself and show that it doesn't. So I think it's more on the nose in this, where they're literally like, this franchise is so important to us that we as fans will murder like, everyone we can.
Yeah.
But I think that works in the parodies, like the parody nature of the franchise. You don't like it?
It just feels like a stretch. I don't know. Like, I'm surprised they continued on with that a bit in the next film.
Okay.
Not like they didn't directly with the whole plot, but the opening, the fake out at the start with the fake killers. And then
real killers, but different.
Real killers, true, but not the killers we were after.
Yes, not the killers you're looking for. It's been pretty pivotal to the idea, to the DNA, though. Remember, the opening Scream 2 is the stab premiere.
Yes.
And it's like, this is just chaos, and everyone is out here, and someone it works for me, I guess.
I mean, maybe stab is where we get the mutated killer whose face has become the Scream mask. Or
that's where they get weird with it.
Ghostface goes to space. I don't mind.
Yeah, because there is that one
somewhere.
There is that one scene where Richie's watching them, and he's like this jacked dude with no sleeves, and he's got like a metal Ghostface mask and a flamethrower.
Yeah, that's right.
And then he calls in, he's like, yeah, this movie is nothing like the originals. So I think you're right. That is probably where you'll see that parody of it go even further.
Yeah.
Did you guys like Skeet Ulrich and the Ghost Dad?
No, but I don't know if that's just because I don't like Sam Carpenter. I don't know if I don't like that whole character and that whole decision.
It's kind of cool to see him back as Billy Loomis again. Like I don't know if it's just a nostalgia thing for me, even though I only watched the first Scream a couple of years ago. Like it's cool. He's not doing much, I feel like, so it's cool.
No.
But he's not the one you want to come back, is he, Luke?
No.
You
Where
want
is
Lillard?
Matthew Lillard?
You want Matthew Lillard?
I keep waiting for Matthew Lillard and like Stu Marker to come back and be the thing, and I keep expecting it. I expected it in 5, and I expected it definitely in 6. The whole time in 6, and then when they alluded to it, I was like, "That's probably too good to be true." Now they've alluded to it. Yeah. Oh, if you believe he's dead, and I was like, "Man, dead. It's not going to be him."
So there was like a big sort of conspiracy, or people trying to figure out what was going to be the direction for Scream 6. And a bit like one of the main theories was that they're like Stu will come back because the TV might not have killed him.
Yeah,
and so like that was the sort of leading theory for the longest time. Like Stu was going to come back in Scream 6, which would have been pretty fascinating.
Out of all the deaths, it's like the least obvious that he could be alive.
But wouldn't it just be super bizarre? It's like I've been in hibernation for 30 years and now I'm enacting my revenge.
It's Matthew Lillard.
Doesn't it break the formula too much too, though? Like he cannot be a character in this story without us thinking he's going to be the killer, right? Like,
it would be very.
He can't appear out of nowhere as the killer either. Really, like, it doesn't work.
No. Unless they reach like Scream 9, where it's intentionally like this is all nonsense now. We just do anything we want, and then Matthew Lillard comes back.
And Vin Diesel.
Or maybe in a stab movie, Matthew Lillard appears as the killer.
Family. And Matthew Lillard kills him.
That'll be great.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, should we move on to Scream 6?
Yeah,
do it.
The reason we're all here. In the next installment, the survivors of the Ghostface killings leave Woodsboro behind and start a fresh chapter in New York City. Change of location. This is the first Scream movie to not take place in Woodsboro?
It is.
Yeah.
Sorry, number 3 takes... No, actually... No, I'm wrong. Number 2 takes place in college somewhere.
Yeah, I was going to say, is it in Woodsboro? I was sure one of them.
I don't know.
College.
I don't understand. American towns are weird, though, because they're all like, here's a town, and then like 10 miles down the road is another town.
Yeah.
And it's like, we're different, but it's really not. They're essentially
it's in the same precinct.
Yeah, so I for all I know, there's a city just down the road that's like a 20-minute drive that is not Woodsboro, but But the number 3 takes place in Hollywood, so I'm wrong.
Oh, true.
That's right.
I thought this was the first. I feel like this one had more of like an identity of being away. The Hollywood one was cheesy. Yes. I didn't like Scream 3. So I enjoyed this new setting. It felt different and ominous, and it felt city-like, I don't know.
Yeah. I was going to say, I really enjoyed the opening for this movie. Like,
so good.
Yeah, like this Tinder date gone wrong. That's a really good, like, play on the phone call kind of, right? That she's chatting this dude up and then just dying in this alleyway while people are walking past.
Yeah.
It's pretty brutal.
And that's really Flash. What the hell? Flash.
It's just got those great meta things. Like Samara Weaving was in Ready or Not, and that was directed by these Radio Silence guys.
Yeah, right.
So it's kind of like she's kind of like a sort of an up and coming screen queen. So it's got the same like charm to that. Then Tony Revolori comes out and it's like this kid.
The whole time I was like, I know this voice. I was like, I know this voice of this dude on the phone. Who is it? And then when I see him, I was like, oh yeah, I saw him on the poster. I should have put 2 and 2 together. But
was he on the poster? Was he?
So the poster's like a huge fake out because he's big. He's Samara Weaving's huge.
They're like bigger than the main characters almost. They're like up there, and then it's like, 5 minutes, they're both gone.
Played you for a fiddle.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the opening. I really did.
No, the opening's great because again, it does a kill, but it's the first time you see a ghost face unmasked before the final reveal, which is really cool. And it kind of includes, it again shows like this is the killing of an unofficial ghost face as well.
Yeah.
And then obviously it ends with that great line, who gives a hell, like who gives a shit about movies? It's like, Oh, okay. So we're like, we don't care about our formula anymore. Like, this is exciting.
Yeah.
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 So I'm just looking
We're
at the poster
analysing
now.
the poster.
He's
Yeah.
analyzing the poster. Yeah.
It is a good fake
I
one.
really enjoyed the core four. Like, I think they have some good banter, some good chemistry in this movie. Like, more so than Scream 5, in my opinion.
Yep. I feel like the banter's better. I feel like, and that could be, you have Jenna Ortega more involved. It does feel more like she's not just in the hospital for the whole movie and coming back at the end. There's the sibling rivalry going on. You've got the different relationships going on. You've got the thing with the neighbor.
Yeah.
That is this whole thing of like, is he the bad dude or what's going on here? It's I feel like the banter and the comedy from especially the twins even in this one is better than Scream 5. But yeah.
You didn't think it was a bit cheesy? You didn't think there's a lot of like cheesy sort of like we're friends?
Well, there is.
We're best friends forever. It's ha 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 ha
There
ha.
is, but it's Scream. It's going to be cheesy.
Yeah.
But
They're all sitting around a table sharing a meal, reminiscing, You can enjoy that and know it's cheesy at the same time, right?
Who does that? Who sits around a table?
Well, exactly.
They should have had a podcast together. Really. When are we going to get the podcast as the main crew?
That's Scream 7. Their therapy is their podcasting.
Yeah, and they're chatting over Discord, like playing Halo. Like, oh man, I can't believe we escaped Ghostface again. That's what I want to see.
Yeah. The setting works really well. Like, it is cool to have sort of that. Again, like in the original, you had that core group. You had Sydney, Gail, Dewey. You had Randy in the second one. Like, I guess that leads to my question, Michael. Does it strike you as a problem though that we still have the exact same four, and it seems like we might have the same four people in films going forward? Like,
how long can they keep up this Sam Carpenter has a dark side thing? Like, I feel like that's got to come to a head in the next movie, surely.
At least another 4 movies.
No way. No way they can keep having what's his face show up. And talk to her in reflections.
He needs money too. Yeah, like I think he wrote in his contract he gets 10 films at least to pay for rent.
Yeah. But we brought it up earlier. Gail should have died, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But not just Gail though. Like what? One of the core four should have died.
Maybe Chad should have died. He would
considering
be
how many stabs he has taken.
Yeah.
Considering how brutalized he was.
He's a Chad.
I guess that's the method commentary.
He's Jenna's new love interest too. So
they get stabbed a lot in this, and it's like 100% in the old films. You'd be like, oh, that character's dead, and like they get stabbed like 4 times. Climb across the ladder across to the other building, and then okay, we're good. Let's keep fighting.
Well, it's. I don't know. Gail definitely should have died. That was a big sin. Like that really frustrated me.
Yeah.
But again, I wonder
too during that scene. Were you like, oh my god, they're going to kill Gail, or
totally was. I was like, oh, this is the kill of this is kind of the legacy kill. And I wonder if. Oh, you go.
I was just going to say, there's actually like several moments in that fight where it plays on the thing of like, oh, he got the killing blow. Like, where she's distracted for a second. And then he like jams the knife in her again. Yeah. And it's like, oh, they are actually going to do it. And then she keeps fighting back. And then it's like 5 minutes later, they've crashed through another wall and he gets her again and stabs her in the chest. And she's like, ah. And it's like, oh no, she's dead again.
And then it's like, oh, it's done. And then it's like, oh, there's a faint pulse. Like, really?
Yeah. Like as soon as they get there, it's just like, oh no, she's good. She'll be back.
I don't want to look at Courtney Cox's dead eyes anymore. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't want to be too mean, but
they're only going to get deader.
Yeah,
no, it was noticeable in this, especially. Like, oh yeah, you're totally right. I just wonder how much of it was that was the original plan, and then Neve Campbell dropped. There was a pay dispute, so obviously she said she wasn't coming back because she didn't feel like it was fair.
So is that the reason? That's the reason.
Yeah, so she was set to come back, but yeah, there's a dispute over pay, and she just sort of said, yeah, it's not not right, and so she dropped out. And so I wonder if with that they're like, well, they've only got one legacy character left, really. So they have to hold on to it, I guess.
We just read, like, obviously we read out the stats earlier, like it's doing well at the box office. How many people in 2023 are going there because Courtney Cox is in this film again? Like, does she have name appeal that people are like, oh, Gale Weathers is in this. We need to go check out the new Scream. I
I
feel like the people that are going to see this, like the new generation they're appealing to, don't know who this is or like really care too much. They want to see Jenna Ortega.
I mean, I think you'd be surprised how big of an audience Friends still has, which is weird. But I agree. You're right. Like, yeah, no one is like she is not big name on the marquee. You know, it's not like Courtney Cox and
Neve
Scream.
Campbell though. Like,
no,
I'm
and
sorry.
that's why this movie went on without her. Like, I'm not saying cancel this franchise without.
No,
without
I know
Campbell.
you're not.
Like, if anything, I'm with you more. I'm like, yeah, Courtney Cox needs to die. I think for like the narrative beats, and you know, for the meta-ness, they're kind of like, oh, we need her. We need someone in there then to keep riffing on that. I really think that's the main reason. Like, they're committed to the internal logic too much to be like.
They want to be meta. Just kill her off and bring Jennifer Aniston as a new reporter in the next.
Would be quite meta. You're right.
You know.
And turns out
it's David Schwimmer. Let's give.
What's Phoebe up to these days? I don't know the actress's name.
They're in New York. You could do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All the friends still live there.
Could they just resurrect someone? Like they did it with Kirby.
Potentially. Died.
No one died.
People don't die, and people don't die.
Right.
I'm glad for that. Even though she seemed like a bit of a different character, but I'm glad that she.
Could Randy come back? Was he living in witness protection all these years or something? Like
I was waiting for Randy to come back because that kill still doesn't feel earned in that film.
You don't like the van kill?
No, it's almost like even when I watched that for the first time, I remember being like, "Oh, he's going to come back." Like by the end of this film, he'll be back. And then when it did, the movies kept going. I was like, "Oh shit, they really killed Randy there." And then there was the whole thing. He left tapes. Like if he
that's perfect though. That's so on brand.
Yeah, so he's done for.
Yeah.
What's Jamie Kennedy doing these days? He's looking rough, but
no, I think what you said though before is like this movie knows enough of where it's from to not go weird. It has seen like Friday the 13th go wacky. It has seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre become a train wreck. It knows exactly what the genre is, and it knows that the genre has a long history of losing its place and having to be rebooted. And the reboots work because they go back to the original. So I really don't think it'll ever go wacky and be like, you know, it will never just go complete straight like we've resurrected somebody and there's like supernatural magic now that's kind of caused it to happen. Because
I was waiting for like the post-credit scene to be like a knife on a pedestal and like Matthew Lillard walking up and being like, "Fine, I'll do it myself." All his ghost faces have failed. He'll be the one. He's
the true spirit of Ghostface.
The Scream universe.
Yeah,
you know,
there's always one. There's always one ghost face at all times. It's the cosmic balance.
Yeah.
They should have killed Gale. Do they not need that link to the past anymore? Then you think just move on.
I think at this point you don't, because you've developed Sam and like you've got these characters now. So you've had 2 movies with them. So the third movie, like you're right, Jenna Ortega is selling this film. She is the draw card. She's what keeps young audiences coming. Older audiences are going to come to this franchise regardless because they're the ones who would be like, I want to watch Scream. Like there's no audience that's like, I'll spend Friday night seeing what Courtney Cox is doing in a horror film. It's like, no, there's Scream fans and there's younger fans who like celebrities of the day.
I can also see the people who are middle-aged that their nostalgia thing is like Hayden Panettiere from Scream 4. And it's like,
they've got
that now as a throwback character that's come back sort of thing.
Yeah.
But bring back the Culkins. Bring Macaulay into it now. His brother was there.
It's like brother of a killer. Very nice. Very nice. It's right on brand. Yeah. How much meth has he done recently?
Not much.
No, he's pretty normal actually. Yeah, he's going well.
He's always at wrestling events.
He's turned his life around.
No, he's friends with that farmer bro. So you're the guy who
Martin Shkreli. Yep. All
right. Yeah.
We're in the weeds.
Either way, did that not bother you guys? Not only her death, but the fact that neither of the core 4. I think I'm still hung up on this.
It did feel like somebody should have died.
Yeah.
Somebody I cared about should have died.
Even like of her friends, the one that died didn't actually die. Like she comes back. It feels like it's like a friend.
The sex positive roommate.
Yeah,
The only one who really dies is Mindy's love interest, who gets the latter death.
yeah.
And it's like I say, it's like she's a red shirt. She's brought in and killed, and
Yeah.
this is where my cynicism comes in about the franchise nature, because we've had the 21st century has been dominated by franchises. We obviously have superhero films now that just don't kill people because characters are bankable, and so you're constantly introducing new ones and splicing it. Like, do you think this is where they go with that? Do you think it goes down a path of safe characters, and it's like we always have at least 3 or 4 that stick around because we don't want to alienate audiences? Or
I don't feel like you can set up this thing in this film of being like the core 4 and then kill one of them off in the same film. Set the core 4 up, get out of here, and people have the expectation, okay, these 4 are safe. And the next one, boom, kill one off.
Maybe someone has to die in the next film.
Yeah.
Doesn't work if they don't.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'll be very upset if they don't.
And Gale, Billy Gales.
Maybe she'll die off camera. Those people.
Yeah, I wouldn't care if she died off camera, honestly.
Died from her injuries.
Went back home to be with her people. Who knows? She's on holidays with Neve Campbell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't worry. They've called. They're staying safe. They wish us the best.
I like that idea. They're both just they're on a beach together somewhere, and they check in every now and then.
I got another one.
This film had some of the most standout like set pieces, though. I think, like the train scene specifically. I'm thinking about the subway.
That was cool.
Really effective.
It was tense. Like it actually had some tension, unlike Scream 5. In my
really
opinion.
hating Scream.
We're not
No,
even
I
talking about
just
Scream
didn't
5
enjoy
anymore.
it.
He just still wants to throw shade.
Sorry.
I hate Scream 5.
I did really enjoy that train scene. Although the whole time, like, somebody look at her. What the hell? Like,
No, man, this is America, man.
Not only America, New York
Really?
City.
Yeah.
it's Halloween or some shit. Everybody's dressed up.
Yeah, it's Halloween for like the whole weekend.
Yeah.
It seems.
I kept being like, why are people still wearing masks? It's been 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure. I don't know. This is like a magical version of America.
Yeah, I don't know how American holidays work.
Neither. But there's that like the latter scenes. I like the latter scene as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like something's going to go wrong, but it's kind of tense.
Waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, and then when Ghostface gets in there, he's got the ladder, and he's just like shaking it. It's like, oh crap!
It's a brutal death too. Yeah.
It is.
The theater's good. Like I like the monument to Ghostface, and then the running around backstage and stuff. I think it works well.
Yeah, I love the notion of like it's a couple of rich kids now, so it's like film fans again.
Yeah.
Because obviously in the second one, Timothy Olyphant is just like a massive film nerd.
Bring him back.
He's
Please.
very
love
dead.
Timothy Olyphant. Yeah.
We all want him back in everything, but he's dead.
I know.
Like, what did you guys think of the reveal?
I didn't see it coming, so I had a weird suspicion about the cop near the start, but I think by the end I'd sort of forgotten about like that suspicion. So
I was more suspicious of Kirby. I don't know. Something about Quinn though seemed off to me. Like her death was a little too soon. Not sure.
Yeah.
I had my suspicions that she wasn't dead for some reason.
Yeah. Well. No.
And then the quiet kid, like the whole time they're like, "You're the killer. You're the killer." They're so suspicious of him, and he was the killer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was the same as with the 5th run, right? Richie, it's always the love interest, and then it was the love interest with Richie. It's like, oh yeah, you did kind of tell us this, or you just forgot about it.
Yeah.
Because I called that it would be the detective and Ethan. I was like, it's got to be them. I had no idea that they were going to do a fake out death with Quinn.
Yeah.
And then
their kid, his kids.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere, which was like I was a bit.
When he said, "I've lost both my kids," I was like, "Oh, that's a weird line." I feel like there's some weird thing going on there. But I didn't pick up. Oh, that's his son, and this and that, and whatever. But,
no, neither.
It's a really strange choice to defend your killer son. Like, I don't know. The math ain't mathing there. Like, there's something that doesn't add up.
Like when you're a cop as well.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. It's okay to disown your kids.
I did wonder for a moment because he's talking at the end how like we got to make it appear like the Reddit was true or something. And I
Yeah.
couldn't think. I wasn't sure for a moment. It was like, does he actually believe those theories, or? But then, yeah. But then he goes through. It's like, here's a movie he made. So no, he's just unhinged as well.
Yes.
I mean, if again, it's like it's got the meta. It works with the meta sense. Like in number 2, it's the mother of Skeet or Billy.
Yeah.
And that's riffing on Friday the 13th energy. And so it works again. This is the father of the killer from the previous film.
Yeah. Literally, it's right there. It's like
yeah, exactly. It keeps it secret by not telling you that he's the father. But yeah, it's the exact same play. Yeah, makes sense. And you have 3 killers. Like that's new.
That is 3. Yeah. True.
I wonder if I would have liked it a bit like, in Hot Fuzz, how there's that great thing where he's trying to find the killer, and like he just keeps running away faster. And it's like, how is this happening? And then it's revealed there's like 100 of them.
Yeah.
I kind of wish they'd done something with that. Sort of leaned into like he's like 2 deaths happen at the same time or something, or somehow like they keep seeing him, or he's just too fast. Like, how is this happening? Lean into that a bit more. But yeah, they never do.
No, they don't. That could be fun. You're right.
Ghostface.
It was fun in Hot Fuzz.
In Hot Fuzz.
There was a bit of debate online about Ghostface having a gun. How did you guys feel about it? I think it looked badass.
Oh, the bodega scene, yeah.
Yeah, I think he needs a gun all the time, actually.
The reaction to that trailer was like, everyone was like up in arms, like, Ghostface doesn't have a gun. And it's just like, I didn't think he would be carrying it for the rest of the film. It's a really cool scene. I feel like it's a standout scene in the whole movie. It's like a really tense scene.
Yeah.
It's really cool, and it looks badass.
Yeah.
Like that looks cool. Like, man, yeah, that looks really cool.
It looks terrifying. It's really brutal as well. Like when he shotguns a guy in the face, it's like, it's very violent. Yeah.
Yeah.
They upped the tension a lot in this one. Like this film had more. It had sort of more horror, more gore, more tension than the previous one.
Yeah.
Which is again a good way to keep it relevant. Like you can't just make tongue-in-cheek sort of horror comedies the whole time. You've got to be, because people seem to just like getting scared still. So it's a cool direction. What do you guys think? Like, where do you think they go from here? Do you think they go back to Woodsboro?
I hope not. In a weird way, like.
Yeah, I don't think they need to.
New York was cool. Oh,
but they're not sticking around in New York.
You don't reckon?
No, she's on the move.
I reckon she comes back as the killer.
Do you reckon that's the next film?
I kind of hope so. Like, I feel like they need to do something. We cannot have another film of her seeing hallucinations. I just can't.
Maybe it gets more meta, and they have it in Sydney.
Oh,
that's where she's on holiday.
An Australian ghost face.
G'day,
guys. G'day, Sam.
You call that a knife?
Oh my god! Yes, it's a giant knife.
It's
my favorite movies, Crocodile Dundee.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Exactly.
It basically writes itself.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Yeah, no, I don't.
Sydney, when you got Sydney.
I don't think we get any more Billy. I can't have any more Billy Loomis hallucinations.
Really?
One more movie of it is enough for me.
All right. What if Mindy starts having Randy hallucinations?
I plan this hallucination in case I die in 20 years.
Yeah, she has a seance one night and then she's just in contact with him for the rest of the movie or something.
She's like, she needs film advice. She's like, where does this movie go now? No, I mean, okay, looking at then, so Scream 3 is where they're making a movie. They're making the next Stab movie. And so if they're going to riff on that film with their next film, like, what do you think that means? Like, do you think that's like a...
Was that not the one where it was just the one sole Ghostface? Was that 3?
Yeah. Yep.
Next one is the one to either, well, it's Sam or it's Stu Marker.
He's not coming back.
He's coming back. Here's the thing. Okay, I'm going out on a limb now. In the next 3 Scream movies, we will see Matthew Lillard back. I guarantee it.
All right. I'm going to try to scourge his profile to see if he's signed any contracts to come back for Scream 7.
Stab is finally doing its re-sequel, and this is where Stu Marker comes back in.
in Stab.
I can see. I see that. I see him being in Stab as a cameo.
No, he's going to come back. The Stumacher character, not Matthew Lillard. Stumacher will be back.
I want you
to fight
off
Billy Loomis's crazy daughter after
Yeah, he's the good guy. I
he
like
brought him
Terminator 2.
Yeah, Billy Loomis led him down a dark path all them years ago. And
That's
he's here to
true. He
repent.
did. Peer pressure. Yeah, he was.
He's
peer
here to
pressure.
repent. He was just mentally not well, and Billy Loomis took advantage of that. Now his daughter's going crazy too.
Look, that'd be a pretty great reveal. Like he becomes the new Dewey. He's just like, I've had a lot of time to reflect.
And he's more like Shaggy.
Yeah, he's a real stoner. So I've got to make amends. And the whole time,
law degree in prison.
And then Sam's like, "Hey, you should come kill with me." And he's like, "No, I don't do that anymore, Sam."
Yeah, I'm going to report you to the police. That's what people would do.
Yeah.
Done.
I see them making a true crime miniseries for an unnamed streamer, and that's where they uncover, someone comes out of it. Or a podcast. That'd also be interesting. They're making podcasts about Stab films.
Serial. Yeah. Have Sarah Koenig. She's like doing a thing on the original Woodsboro High.
She could be the new Gale.
She should be.
Yeah.
That'd be so dope. Have her be doing a serial crime podcast, and she's there interviewing people, being like, "What about the disappearance of this person?" And they're just like, "Yeah, wow, dude, hire us."
Yeah, radio silence.
Her investigations unveil that Stumacher's still alive.
Yes.
Yes. Actually, yeah.
She's like, we'll call him Mr. S for now. And then, boom.
Somehow that awakens something in him and he becomes the killer again. Or he's the good guy.
He'd need to be. I like that idea.
Yeah.
He's the hero and Sam's actually the one killing, and it's an inversion on that.
Yeah. Sold. There we go. That's the future of the franchise right there.
Hire
Done
us.
In an hour, 20 minutes. Well.
All right. Anything else you want to say about Scream 5 or 6 or Scream in general? We may be here again. I feel like we'll just do these movies when they come up.
Yeah.
Keep this franchise alive. It's great.
I
agree.
I'm sorry that I enjoy meta-textual references.
It's fine. It's fine. Look, I like that you like it. I like the meta side of it. Do you ever get sick of meta? Like, do you feel like there's too much meta?
Like, there totally is. There definitely is in general cinema.
Yeah.
I feel like this kind of skates in, though, because it's like we're meta, but we're not. We're kind of meta with ourselves. It's like meta of this specific genre and tropes, and it's a bit more like sarcastic about it. I think the issue with everything going meta now is it's self-serious about it. Whereas these couple ones especially have been actively like, we're meta about how this genre is kind of silly, and there's inherent, people just keep getting killed, and no matter what you do, you're just going to die in a horror film. And like, I think it works when it's got that sort of that sarcastic edge to it. If it started taking itself seriously and went down like a true horror, like really exploring which is why I'm a little bit scared as well if they go down the path of Sam becoming the killer. Like I talked about it with Halloween. I love the idea of like the influence of something creating a killer somewhere else.
Yeah.
I'd just be worried if they do that, if it would go too self-serious with the trauma of this has changed her, and it tries to get like become a meta commentary on that stuff. That's where I'd be a bit like, check yourself, Scream.
But I think tonight.
Yeah, it goes down as long as it's just a meta awareness of the genre, though. I think I like that because it's like that's what it is. A lot of other horror films don't do that, so that's fine.
It's its own thing. If they couldn't afford Sydney for this one, how are they going to afford Jenna Ortega after Wednesday?
So she talked about working on Wednesday being really involved in the writing process. Like there'll be a lot of parts where she would say this line, I'm not doing this line, that's not for the character. And so I think some of the writers came out were actually like besmirching her and really angry, like saying she was really entitled and stuff. Because she was at an interview, she's like, I was protective of the character. I made some calls about this, and the script editor didn't like it. So I feel like she is a little bit of she's not like she's not like a bad movie star. She I think she does take projects because she wants to. Like she took Wednesday because she wanted to work with Tim Burton.
Does she want to keep doing Scream?
Yeah. Well, yeah, if she does, I think she would do it. I don't think she'd be like, you owe me $100 million for this movie. I hope she would be like, I like what this franchise is, so I'll keep doing it for a decent rate.
Yeah.
I'd be more worried about Matthew Lillard coming back and saying, I need $70 million.
I mean, dude,
upfront.
I need that
with how
shaggy
busy
money.
he is, you can't afford, you know.
I think the success of these two movies grows their budget too. I mean, the budget already increased by a quarter for this film.
Yeah.
I could see it going up again to afford these actors. Like, obviously they're pretty successful. Cinema's weird these days. Like, is anything short of Avengers Endgame successful? Yes. It's stupid to try and compare everything to that, but yeah, in their own way, they're very successful, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, interesting.
Was the post-credit scene worth staying for?
I thought it was fun. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, I had fun with it too.
It's as good as any Marvel post-credit scene now. Like,
Pretty
every
much.
Marvel post-credit scene is a joke. So I'm like, it's on brand.
There's no post-Marvel credit scenes where it's like, oh shit, they just revealed a new character. Like, it's none of that anymore. It's just always,
You guys haven't watched Eternals, obviously.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, did it change the balance of power in the MCU?
Harry Styles.
Who gives a flying anything?
Yeah.
The cleaner was trying to kick us out. He was like vacuuming right in front of us, ready to get us out.
Yeah,
of there.
literally, we were like the last ones there, and then that line popped on, and just like, all right, there we go. Bye. Cleaner man.
What a jerk.
All right, we ranking them 6 then 5. 6 is the better film.
Let's rank them with the original trilogy.
Oh gosh, I can't remember.
No.
I think for me, off the top of my head, it would be like, well, 1 is obviously the best. I feel like I really enjoyed 4. I feel like mine would go 1, 4, 6, 2, 5, 3.
Yeah, that sounds good.
That sounds about right. I don't know. I don't remember liking 4 though. I think I'd be like 1, 6, 2,
Scream 4 was good.
4,
Scream 3
5,
was
3.
bad.
I remember. No, I thought you liked 3, Grunner.
Oh, I
Hollywood
can't.
one.
Honestly, can't remember. I'll go back and listen to the podcast tomorrow and let you know.
Yeah.
Either way, like, these two are really good, like, continuations.
Yes, I think I was ready to give up after Scream 5. Maybe it was just the mood I was in, but Scream 6, I really did enjoy it.
Yep.
All right.
Good stuff.
Thank you for joining us for The Good, the Bad, and the Worst. This podcast was brought to you by The Taste of Iron by CV Clark. It's great. Check it out on Amazon.
Got killers.
It does have killers. If you enjoyed this podcast, you might like hearing us talk about video games for at least one more podcast. And then after that, we're opening it up to other topics. We're broadening our horizons. We'll ramble about things. Come and check it out. See our opinions on stuff. I don't know that on everything.
Everything,
There you go.
everywhere, all at once.
Oh, wow.
Our
Two
next
movie
podcast is about John Wick. John Wick 4. Looking forward to it. It's
I feel like this is Conan month.
It is.
It is,
This
yeah.
is a good time to be me.
But then we're knocking him down with the Super Mario movie, so
Yeah,
it's all going to come crashing
Knock him down a
down.
peg. Yeah, definitely.
So check that out next fortnight. John Wick 4. R.I.P. Lance Reddick. You will be missed. It's a real shame.
John Wick 4, as long as the first 3 John Wicks. So
combined.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for The Good, the Bad, and Worst. Please check us out on Spotify. Rate us, review us, tell your mum about us, and we'll catch you next week.
See ya.